YouTube, it's Brad Phillips, F-16 and F-18. 50 millimeters by Eachine. These things are gorgeous. They are little belly landers. We reviewed this some time ago. Didn't have a great experience, felt like it was a little bit anemic. So what did we do, camera crew?
4S.
4S, baby. Yep, that's right, we already have it in the can. This one we're about to film, stay tuned. In between these two flights, we're gonna show you what we did to make the 4S fit in here and what we did ultimately to modify this quite a bit with lots of control horn changes to make this work. So we're gonna pause, get reset so my hands are free, and then fly. Okay folks, throttle cut is off. Tested the throttle. We have safe on, verified because we don't have safe on the other one. We do on this, here we go. Oh yeah, out of safe already. Absolutely no problems. We took 80 clicks of trim out of this. Look at this. Look how awesome that is, folks, on 4S.
That's crazy.
Got a little bit of roll we need to deal with. Did you see that too? Yeah, it's rolling a little bit to the left. We'll try it with the rudder because we can trim either side. Man, that looks so good. Man, that is so good. Okay, slow flight performance is still amazing. Look at this, guys. Look at this. We can almost alpha with the thing now, even with 4S. That is awesome. Okay, into the power. Over the yield killing zone, and we're gonna do a little roll. Holy crap, that thing rolls fast. Okay, here we go. 50%, 70%, 100% power. Yeah, baby, that thing is fast. It is faster than the F-16, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Look at this, into the full throttle. Still in the full throttle. Still in the full throttle. Still in the full throttle. 100% throttle for like 20 seconds. Jeez, that is incredible. That ESC should be on fire by now. Out of the full throttle to 0. Letting the battery recover. Man, that AR-630 is so much better. Holy cow. I had no idea. Wow. Woo. I about lost it there, folks. Sorry. That was a piloting error. Listen, listen. Listen to the scream. Straight up and straight down. Straight down, out of throttle. Down the runway. You good? Mm-hmm. Into power. Yes, that is sweet. Guys, this F-18 is so much better than the F-16. It's funny, we just spent all sorts of time trying to get the F-16 to fly good, and it did ultimately fly pretty dang good at the end of the day. But I'm gonna just tell you this right now, this F-18 is better. Sorry, it is, a lot better, a lot faster, a lot more exciting. Oh yeah, that is so cool. Love those quick reversals. All right, let's bring it down here. And guys, I'm an F-16 fan, folks. You guys already know this. Okay, coming in under the power lines. If I can get the wind to cooperate, it's gonna disappear into the trees. There we go. A little bit of power. That looks so sweet, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. I'm low battery on my phone.
Low battery?
Yep.
Like low battery, like you gotta keep filming, or?
Well, I mean.
Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness. 2 minutes 20 left on the timer, folks. And it is windy, make no mistake. Mm-hmm. Very windy. Huge. It's huge, very windy, perfectly windy. It's the best wind that's ever existed. Oh, I love the scream. Are you hearing that? I don't remember hearing that. Look at this, almost unlimited, I'd call that unlimited vertical, sorry. Okay, coming downhill. We're gonna go on the outside, not the inside, don't worry. Oh man, it is cruising. Oh man, I'm so happy we tried this on 4S. Both planes could really use rudders, folks. I gotta admit, rudders really make a plane fly better. I hate to break it. Even in a jet where you don't need it, I wanna be able to change the heading. Whoa, that was crazy, crazy turbulence. So folks, if you're in the mood for an F-18, you might want to serve this one up. It's pretty freaking sweet. Eagle killing zone about took me because of the wind. But can you complain? Look at this thing. If it's the last flight we ever see with this F-18, I'd be heartbroken because it is absolutely gorgeous. AS3X has this thing feeling locked in, even though it doesn't look locked in, guys. It is incredibly windy. It hurts to film right now. Look at that tail. Look at that tail. Did you see it whip? My goodness, you gotta remember, there is no yaw axis control on this plane. Therefore, the AS3X cannot correct yaw, okay? Keep that in mind, folks. Up, sorry, and down. Down the runway, you good? Good,
Nope.
good. Down the runway? Okay, perfect. How's your battery life, camera crew?
I don't know. It's just gonna turn off.
Okay. Well, guys, in that case, I'm gonna try to take a landing so that you can see it. We probably got about 14 seconds on the timer. Listen for the countdown.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
A little bit of juice there.
2, 1.
A little bit of power. There it is, guys. I want to keep flying, but I don't want the battery to die. We're at 7 seconds past our 5-minute timer. Throttle cuts on. This thing is awesome. I love this plane. Very good by Eachine. I can't believe how it stands up to a 4S pack. Why the heck are they even saying this is a 3S plane? Because that thing deserves 4S. You saw it here on Brian Phillips RC and a few other places. But either way, all I'm gonna say is this plane is awesome. It hurts to film right now. Thank you, camera crew, for being so good to me. Stay tuned, we're gonna do the F-16 right now. YouTube, this is Brian Phillips. So you just saw the F-18 fly, I believe, by Eachine. Obviously we have the lid open. We wanted to show you how we loaded. It's super cold out there today and pretty windy. We got the F-16 flying great. You already saw in our intro that we're gonna fly this. We're gonna show you all the changes we made from the unboxed maiden, unboxed build radio setup from a few months ago. But just to be clear, this thing flew on 4S beautifully and we have it all dialed in. But we also didn't have the added benefit of an AR630, which made it a lot harder. So stay tuned, you can watch our struggles and just see how much worth it is to do the AR630. But just in talks about CG, look where the CG marks are, way back here, very different. This F-16 CG mark is here, and guess what? We were CGing out way up here. And guess what? It flew beautifully. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I want to show you exactly where this battery ended up, because you've already seen the performance of this F-18 on 1300 3S from previous videos, but on 4S 2200, that's a big change. So I want to show you where I'm putting the battery so that you understand. So I'm going to put this battery so it's just getting caught by the tail of the strap here. This happens to be a 100C pack. You don't have to use a 100C pack, but we like almost never use the 100C packs except for in helis. And so what I'm doing is, and I don't have any helis that require a 4S 2200, so I'm gonna use it in this plane, partly because I left the battery in this one just to show you guys. And when we intro outside, you guys will have already seen that. But here's the thing. I'm gonna take this lead, and don't worry, this thing doesn't dip in very deep, okay? So my hope is we can get this to fit, basically, okay? Because that's a big part of this. Okay, so we're just gonna plug this in. So just to be clear, when your ESC runs out of juice, it's gonna go to a low voltage cutoff. So it's gonna go from like 100% power down to like 40% or 30% power. But you're not gonna have much warning. It's pretty much there and then gone, okay? So be careful. Also, I'm gonna try to slide this back just a bit so that that lead goes back. See how I did that? Then this is smaller, so I can kind of tuck this into a half turn, and it fits right in over the top of the receiver. Now, don't worry about hitting the bind button. Even if you do hit the bind button, you gotta press and hold it, and you gotta be binding. Like right now, we're not binding. So we're already bound, we're already in control and command, but you can see there is a bit of a problem. Look, okay? It doesn't fit. So ideally, you would be back there. Now that canopy weighs something, but it's still pretty nose heavy, okay? I think on this plane's probably not gonna tolerate that big of a disparity in CG. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna try our best, because this plane deserves 4S. Now that doesn't mean you need to do a 2200 4S. We just happen to not have a 1300 4S, okay? So you see how far that is? Basically in front of the AR630. And pushed tight into it. So we're probably, I'm gonna call that 1/2 inch past the strap. That strap is fixed, by the way. It doesn't move forward and backward. Okay, and it still doesn't go because this thing needs to be pushed out of the way. But if you go in the middle with it, you can kind of push it back. You just wanna be careful to visually inspect so that you don't hit your lead. Okay, see how that would go there, but it's not wanting to go. I wonder why, because it doesn't get to the magnet good enough, okay? So I'm gonna try to go sideways and see if we can just kind of create a little extra clearance. Okay, so similar to what we did on the other plane. Yep, we're totally free of everything in there. We didn't push any leads into the motor or anything like that. We could also tape this down like we did on the F-16, but I think what I'm gonna do instead is I'm just gonna finagle this a little bit. I think I can get it back far enough to where it'll clear, okay? Just like that. Then I'm gonna push these leads. I'm bending the silicone, not the point where it goes into the connector, because that's gonna be more vulnerable to damage. Okay, so now that's sort of holding, but it's still kind of weak. I don't like that it's weak. Let's see if I can turn it sideways. Part of the reason we show you this stuff is because, you know, a big part of this hobby is just kind of figuring out how to do things. It's not necessarily knowing how to do things, it's knowing how to figure it out. And so there is about 1 million ways to skin this cat. And I just want you to see how we came to resolution. Okay, still not there. Why? Because the balance lead is in the way. Once I pull that balance lead, see how I pulled that off to the side? Now I can rock this down in there, and that is unseating the receiver. I don't care, that's actually okay. As long as it's all trapped, I think it's gonna be fine. And there you have it. So the receiver, show them this gap. See this? It's wanting to push up on that lid, okay? So I still don't like it, still not good enough. Let's see if we can get a little bit better and then I'll be satisfied. Okay, I want to try to push this down. See how the receiver's moving over? I don't know if we glued that. Looks like we Velcroed that, so we actually can just slip that over a little bit. Since we Velcroed it, I can just slide it over. See how it's aligned still? You just need that alignment to be perfect here though. So I'm going to take a screwdriver and just kind of force it over just a hair so that it's square. And yes, that's Velcro, so I'm allowed to do that. If it was double-sided tape, you wouldn't be able to do that. So Velcro wins again. We've been having good luck with Velcro on these receivers.
The Velcro receivers.
Okay, so that's on there. Now let's see how hard it is to pull. Not very hard, so we gotta do a little bit more finagling. And are you getting the point of what I'm trying to communicate?
Yeah, but is there a reason you're not just taping it since we did it on the other one?
Well, the other one, there was like no chance. There was like no chance whatsoever.
Okay. This one, there's like
this
a
one,
slight
I
chance.
feel like it's better if you don't have to tape it.
Well, I know, I agree.
And I think we might be hitting up here. Maybe we're hitting this. That's probably what we're hitting. See that? I wonder if that's what's going on. So I'm gonna pull this. This is a high quality strap, by the way, surprisingly. Usually with the Chinese ones, you don't get very good straps at all. So you're like, whatever, it's not gonna survive for 2 planes, 2 flights. Ooh, that's good.
Oh, that seemed better.
I can almost hold the plane by it. I'm satisfied with that.
Okay.
Okay, so obviously sweet plane. Obviously we have it bound up, so elevator up, roll. And okay, everything's set. We have a 5-minute timer on this plane as opposed to a 3.5-minute timer here. I don't know why there's such a big disparity. Maybe, did we ever try it on 2200? I don't think we did.
I don't know.
But either way, on 2200 3S, maybe this thing is just more efficient than that. So we're gonna try this on 4S, but I just want you guys to see this. Look at this. See where the CG mark is? It's way back here. I think we pretty much just ignored it, okay? So you see, I'm balancing right up here. We have other F-18s that are balanced up there. I think this is gonna be okay.
I think this was the one, didn't we decide that the CG was maybe?
Look familiar? Look at the trim on the elevator.
Oh, interesting.
Minus 80.
Yeah.
We were minus 86 on this one. That is hilarious. Okay, time for some mechanical trim. So camera crew's super excited about that because the mechanical trim always gets us both excited. So how do you do mechanical trim? This is how you do mechanical trim. You basically want to emulate the position of this plane. So in my case, I want it to be flush on the top. Flush on the top because I need trim in case that's too much, okay? So it's gonna be really easy to do this on this plane. I'm gonna literally take a screwdriver and I'm at minus 80, so I'm gonna put it to 0. So as you can see, if I put it to 0, look at the disparity now. It's like almost flat on the bottom now. So I want it to be flat on the top. Remember, if we change the CG so it's way more nose heavy, this is gonna be less effective as an elevator because the plane is gonna be more overstable, okay? So there's 2 ways to do this. We can either do it back here on the servo or we can do it out here on the end. In this case, we're gonna extend this, okay? So I'm gonna take 2 fingers plus a thumb, hold it real tight and then spin. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna count this time because it should be even if we were even before, and I don't remember having a problem with that. So go into the inside hole, and I'm just gonna lift up the plane. I'm gonna visually look at it, and it's not quite there. I need to go 5 now, 5 half turns, okay? So going out, did that go out? Whoops. That's 6 half turns. So 3 turns. Oh yeah, it's flat now. So that's 3 full turns out, and then we're gonna clip this back in, and we're just gonna rotate the plane around and do the exact same procedure. It's a very simple procedure. Okay, this one just happens to have the rubber band thing on it, like the other one should have, but it didn't for whatever reason.
Oh, yeah, it didn't.
I think it broke, so we just kind of forgot about it and didn't care. Okay, so we're going out how many turns? 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, and 6 halves. That should get us really close because that's what we did on the other side. And I want to just visually inspect before I clip it. Oh yeah, that's good. Now look at that surface. You see how it's flush? It's actually slightly up. This one's slightly up as well. I'm satisfied with that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get everything clipped back, and then we'll be ready to launch. And what we're gonna do is you guys will see the flights first, then you'll see this after the fact. We did some more adjustments by far on this F-16 than we did on this F-18. But just to be clear, having the AR-630 is a huge improvement because then you have safe, which is great for launching, okay? So without further ado, we'll see you outside. Stay tuned. If you want to help support our channel, buy these from the video description below. You can buy this F-18 or you can buy this F-16. Both are very good planes. Both are definitely capable for 4S based on our testing today. You can make up your own mind if you don't agree. I ran them on 1300 3S. I felt like this one was way less anemic on 1300 3S than this. This one is pretty anemic on 1300 3S, but it is fun to fly and it does fly okay on 3S 1300. But 4S puts it over the top, which is exactly where you want a jet to be. So stay tuned. Buy them from the links, help support us, or Patreon. Special thanks to our Patreons who do support us right now. Thank you guys. If you want to become one, link is right at the top of the list. Same thing with PayPal if you like one-time gifts. We appreciate you guys. Always brightens our day when somebody sends us 20 bucks for no reason. We appreciate it. But really, we think the best deal is buy the planes, because that's what we like too. And it'll make you guys happy. And then the people we work with send us small commissions over time. And that's the best way to perpetuate what we're doing, which is reviewing lots of fixed wing radio controlled airplanes. And now helicopters and PPG and basically anything flying, because we love flying. Well, at least I love flying. My camera crew loves me, so she helps me. Yep. So thank you, camera crew. Stay tuned, guys. More coming. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Eachine, 50 millimeter F-18. Eachine, 50 millimeter F-16. Yeah, they're supposed to fly on 3S, but that ain't good enough for me. We're doing it on 4S. Now this one's not on yet. You may have noticed it's not moving. This one is, because this one's the one we're gonna start with. We put 4S in and we will have a clip to show you what we did to make it work. The only modification was pertaining to essentially how we got the battery to fit, how we adjusted the elevator. Let's hope it works. But at this point, we're gonna pause, get set, and fly.
Thanks.
Okay, throttle cuts off 3:30 on 2200 4S 50C. The only reason we did 50C is because we happen to have it charged instead of a 30. Oh yeah! Okay, 50% throttle here. AS3X equipped. We use an AR-636 in this. 50% throttle still. It is a little bit windy today. I'm just being a little bit gentle and tidy and easy. Oh man, that looks so good. So we can get at least a pass. Oh man, that thing is fast. Okay, coming around. It's a little bit windier than it was earlier today. Oh yeah, baby, that looks good. Man, too much oscillation on the ailerons. So 4S, eat your heart out. It's working really good. I feel like this plane needs an AR-630 so that we could actually do the forward programming, AS3X and safe, everything. This just has AS3X. And look at that oscillation. Unacceptable, Brian, unacceptable. Oh man, that looks so good. It's gonna film like crap though with that blue sky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at that oscillation, folks. I'm having to slow down so it doesn't oscillate. That is so unfair to this plane. But look at the power though. Look at the power, watch this. That is good power for a small plane, folks. It's not as good as the Arrows, but it's pretty awesome. And it looks good too, because who doesn't love an F-16? I'm at 50% throttle, being really dainty on the throttle because of the oscillation, the overcorrection from the AS3X. We're gonna go into the power lines here. You good? Mm-hmm. Okay, getting into the power. We're going on the inside this time. Look at that power, folks. Granted, we're with the wind right now. Let's go ahead and show them against the wind. Full throttle. Watch that thing. Climbs out, no problem at all. Really loving the way this flies. Super ultra stable. Kind of wish I could get out of the AS3X just so I could show you how it flies. You see that oscillation is unforgivable. Hasn't caught on fire yet. This is not rated for 4S. But guys, I'm gonna have to ask you to do something that I almost never ask you to do. That is use your imagination. If this had the AR630, I could turn down the gains and we could fly this thing rock solid. But man, the power is so much better. It's totally there. Mm-hmm. It needs tuning though. Oh my goodness, that wind hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's hilarious watching it do that. Good roll rate too. Oh man. There we go. Okay, coming down, just gliding right down the runway. Oh, that wind feels terrible, doesn't it, camera crew?
It sure does.
I'm hiding behind the camera crew.
Thank you.
Oh, it's so funny. Okay, here we go, full throttle with the wind. Oh, so much oscillation, I can't hardly tolerate it.
That's crazy.
But it's flyable still. It just looks like a fish. It's like I'm trying to swim. Now, we don't have any voltage alarm in here because this thing doesn't have much room for such devices. But man, it's flying actually great, even though it's oscillating. It's easy to fly.
9, 8.
And then look how fast you can get into power and then almost straight vertical. Watch the sun, sorry. I bailed on that maneuver because I knew I was gonna be downwind on the correction. My apologies there, camera crew. That was so close to the trees. Oh, that wind hurts my soul. So what have we learned about the AS3X on this?
Too much.
Yep, we need to replace the receiver if we want this thing to be in the right way. I just feel like this 4S is no problem for the ESC. Mm-hmm. It's definitely handling it. And if you guys can just imagine what it'd be like if it was rock solid, that's the way the other one's gonna fly, and I'm gonna show you that here shortly. Look how nice this is, guys, look at that. Oh, the overcorrection just kills me because I feel like this plane has so much more to bring. Oh man, it's killing me. Every time it starts getting really exciting, it starts overcorrecting. So for those of you new to the flying of radio-controlled airplanes, this would not be a good beginner plane. Obviously, if you do it, you'll want to get a better receiver for the configuration that we're doing here so that it can be everything that you want it to be. One of the big drawbacks of working on a Banggood plane is that they don't send us receivers, and therefore we just kind of use what we got around. That's what happened on this one. Oh, there's our low voltage, or I killed it, one or the other, don't know which one. So we landed. All right, let's check it out. Oh, you hear it? You guys hear it?
Oh.
So we didn't kill it. It's just in low voltage cutoff, okay? So let's just see how much voltage we have left, okay? We are at 1 minute 59 past 3:30. Yep, it's in a low voltage cutoff state, okay? Got a lot of stuff on there, that's kind of gross. A little bit juicy over here, evidently. Yeah. And there was kind of a bounce. The wind is terrible, folks. We're gonna go reset, and we will show you at the end. You can see what we did to help secure this lid and fit the pad. We also did some mechanical adjustments, and guess what? No trim on the elevator, it's right at even now. But look where it sits, okay? If you wanna do this on 4S, Two things, receiver, move it to the front. Get your 2200 4S in the back, use an AR630. It will work beautifully and you'll know exactly how to do it because all you have to do is follow the setup from the F-18. We're gonna pause and reset. Okay, so we just got in from the cold. It was pretty bad out there, the wind. I just wanna reaffirm, we're gonna have a clip where we show all the setup. This is gonna follow right after the F-16 flight. So what I have to do now is I have to peel up this little piece of tape here. Okay, see how it doesn't peel any of the paint off, okay? So we just planned that out so that it would work. And then over here, I didn't actually make a tail, and that was just to show you the difference. You'll understand when you see the end video. But this reminds me of back when we were doing a lot of UMX planes, we had to do a lot of this. See how that's actually peeling off without ripping up the paint? That was not the plan, but it does come off. That is unusual. Normally, if you do that, you're gonna peel up the paint. So our whole objective was just put the tape down, cut it, and then put a piece of tape on top. You can peel it off real quick, stick it out of the way. And as you can see, we didn't modify the lid at all. But the way we did our receiver was I literally put an AR636 in here from another plane and I had to mount it upside down. So when I initiate my plane, it's upside down. Kind of an embarrassing way of doing things, if you ask me. But it was what it was. We had an AR636 sitting around. We didn't have any reason to use it because it was always going the wrong direction for whatever reason. And so we went with it, okay? 2200 4S, this plane handles fine, no problem. And I just wanna show you, obviously the XT60 works fine with the IC3. This would be a perfect opportunity to use a Gen 2 pack, so you have one less lead to be in the way. But as I was mentioning in the wind, this got all glued in upside down in a weird configuration. And really what we should have done is we should have tried to get it up here. Well, the problem is if you're flying on 1300 3S, you do actually ride it pretty much on the tray and it balances out really nicely. And by the way, for the record, on 3S, this plane flies okay. It's just not ballsy enough to be fun. That was fun, even though it was way overcorrecting. Now, if you did it the way I did it with an AR636 that you had lying around, and you don't want to hook up a programming cable and change all the gains and all that crap, there is another way to fix this. And that is, you see what's going on here? This is on the inside-most hole or the next to, all I'd have to do is go to the inside hole one more and that would fix that problem, that overcorrection. It would be, in fact, fixed. So let's show the people how to do that real quick. The way you can do this is super easy, and then you guys don't have to change anything. You can also use AS3X and gain control. And like what we did on the F-18, we had an AR630, okay? Everything's nice, clean, almost looks like it was designed to be that way, because it was. And then over here, we've got the hobbled together, didn't really care enough to do it right setup. Let's show you exactly how to fix this. Okay, remember it was oscillating, it was overcorrecting. Okay, so I'm just gonna pop this off, slide back that little rubber band. Then I'm gonna get in here with the screwdriver. I'm gonna attempt to pop this off. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. This is gonna be one of those times where of course it's gonna make it a pain. Okay, so pop that off. Then all you have to do is just walk this out. If you guys are wondering why I'm wearing gloves, because it's really cold, these are nitrile gloves. It's like a mechanic's glove or a cleaner's glove or like a surgeon's glove or whatever. And they're just like a thin, kind of like rubber sort of thing. It's nitrile's a material, okay? So now watch this. Now I'm gonna pull this out. Then I'm gonna go down one hole. And yes, there should be clearance. It looks like they might have opened up the hole a little bit. So if they open up the hole, we might have to drill that. But I'm just gonna try to do it the really lazy way. Oh yeah, they opened up the holes there, camera crew. Show the people a real close up there. I'm gonna go grab a drill. You can pause it when you're done showing them. So I got some drill bits, and all I need to do is just take this thing, find one that's about the same size. Yeah, that's pretty close. So that was 1/16 of an inch. If your chuck won't hold it, put some tape on the shank, put it back in the chuck. We have to do that with some small bits. Okay, so this is gonna be a hard angle to get to. So I'm gonna try my best. I don't wanna take this thing out because then I'll have to poke another hole right here just to get the screw out. So I'm gonna push this down and just drill. Okay, that's all you need. Very simple. And now remember, that moved when I did this, okay? So I've got this one as a guide. I can see it went to the, it's on the inside and it goes to the outside. Okay, so I'm just going to the next hole down. That means it's gonna have less output. Okay, goes in just fine. And there should be plenty of clearance because this hole is big enough for it to sweep all the way forward and all the way backward. Okay, then I'm just gonna put this on. Now, some of you guys are gonna think this next idea is really stupid, so I'm just gonna tell you anyway, okay? You can actually make a fixed flapper-on or spoiler-on configuration on your ailerons on a plane like this. So if you want it to fly slower, fixed flapper-on, so down. And then this thing doesn't know it's flapper-ons. You just physically mount them so that they happen to both be down. You have to correct on the elevator to do that. But that would make more lift and it would allow for slower flight performance, but it's always on, okay? The other alternative is if you want this faster with a 3S still, or 4S, doesn't matter, you can do a fixed spoiler on where you intentionally go 1 or 2 degrees up and you will make this plane faster, okay? I don't recommend you do that, by the way. So you'll note that we have a flat surface here and a flat surface here, but remember I bumped it, so I don't know that it's gonna be perfect, so we're just gonna put it on there and throw caution to the wind. Hope it's in the same position. It may be slightly wrong when we power this back up. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and throw another battery in there and just kind of do a quick flight with it and see how it does, because I believe this is gonna fix the problem very easily, okay? So then I'm gonna do this one first. I'll drill the hole first because it makes it a little easier for me to remember which hole I'm sticking it in.
It's terrible when you forget which hole it goes in.
That's right. I mean, that can get you in big trouble. Big trouble. Okay, so we're gonna just pop this out. Okay, so once that's popped out, we'll go like that. Then I'm gonna walk this to the center, like this. Oops. Walk it to the center like this, and then I'm gonna go down 1 hole to the next hole. And if it still overcorrects, now remember, this does impact the amount of roll authority you have, but I felt like we had plenty of roll authority, okay? So now we're back into the lower hole now, and we're just gonna put this back in. Now remember, I moved this, so it's not like this is not the neutral position. And that is kind of hard on your servos, so avoid doing it. Centering the servos with everything off, because those gears are small, make no mistake about it. All right, so now, the other thing is, let's talk about the elevators. I feel like we have a pretty good amount of elevator authority, and I feel like we could actually do with less. Now, why are we doing all these mechanical adjustments? Because I want this thing to fly awesome. Now, I'm not okay with okay. I'm okay with awesome, especially when it's winter and we haven't had a couple of new releases lately. Oh wait, we have actually had a few. But anyway, what I'm saying is, I'm gonna just do a little bit more adjustment because this plane, I feel like this plane is on the cusp of greatness, okay? So we're gonna go in 1 more hole. So this is on the 1, 2, 3, the 3rd hole, and I don't feel like this one's very far off. So I'm gonna go 1 hole in, which means we do have to drill it. I mean, they're so close together. I mean, if you stick it in the wrong hole, you're not gonna know. I mean, seriously, right? I mean.
No, you would know.
Well, I mean, really?
You'll know. Someone will know.
Someone will know. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to the inside hole on this one. Okay, now on this elevator one, you do need to be a little bit careful that you at least have a pretty good amount of up elevator if you're trying to do 4S. Because 4S, again, in my application, makes the plane pretty heavy, nose heavy. On yours, it may not, because you might have put an AR630 in it like you should. If you do the 630, you can put it in a better placement and get the battery in a better placement as well. Same thing as I did with the ailerons. I'm just gonna poke the next hole down, which is the 4th hole instead of the 3rd hole.
I have a question while you're doing that again. Yeah. If you said this is not a first plane, which I agree with.
No way, yeah.
But if you had the right receiver and stuff in it, is this a first EDF?
No.
Still no. Okay.
Still no.
Still no. Someone's gonna ask, so I'm just asking.
Well, I mean,
now.
it's first EDF is such a vague thing.
Well,
now.
I know.
Because here's the thing, guys. EDFs are not that much harder to fly. But if you're gonna have a first EDF that's a belly lander, fine, but I still wouldn't recommend this as a first EDF. They're slower flying, easier, better performing EDFs.
Okay.
Like that one over there, that Viper, yes.
Sure. Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
I'm just gonna put it out there because you guys are gonna ask.
Right. Well, that's why.
Is that is it T33 better? Yes.
Yes.
Than that? Yes.
Yes.
It flies better. They also do 4S too. Mm-hmm. So back in the day when we first started doing this stuff, we didn't have the flexibility to switch from a 3S to a 4S. You'd catch the SE on fire. Now you can get away with it, which is really cool on some planes. Okay, so just remember, like, if you guys are just getting into the hobby, you're spoiled. Back when I was a kid, we used to have to go uphill both ways in the snow, and it was like feet of snow every day trying to get to school. Now you have safe on like virtually any plane you want. You can pretty much fly any plane as your first plane if you're ballsy enough to do it. But then there's certain planes that just behave better. And, you know, my recommendation, like every other RC trainer, person, whatever you want to call me, influencer, is going to tell you the same thing because they're right. Start with the plane that's easy to fly. Believe it or not, this plane is pretty easy to fly. Okay? But it's also a tricycle, and it's beautiful, and you don't want to screw it up, and it's awesome. It's got reverse thrust. It's complicated. So anyway, I want to show you what just happened. See that? What's going on? Go down lower. What's happening? Show them. What's going on? What are you seeing there?
Your control surfaces are not even now.
No, well, I don't care about that.
Oh, you're touching.
We're touching, okay? I didn't expect that to happen, but it's also not a big deal. I'm gonna show you how to fix that right now. Now, this is not something you wanna do unless you have to. But if you have to, you have to, so you might as well get used to doing it because there will be a time when you'll have to do it. Okay, it's better to have it straight. You're gonna get better, more linear performance output, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and put a very, 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 very small bend. So small that it's almost indistinguishable, okay? Like that. That's it. Now, keep in mind, the geometry matters on this. You have to make them even. If they're not even, if they're not at the same spot, it will screw up the flight performance, something fierce, okay? Need a little bit more. I'm just grabbing it with the pliers in front of the bend, and I'm gonna push down here, and I'm gonna twist here. Okay. So now, do you see that? Compared to that, all it does is free the surface, okay? You don't wanna be binding because you're gonna put even more load on there. But here's the thing, when you go closer to this, the pivot point on the servo, you have more torque available, okay? Well, you have more precision. You know, the lever arm is shorter, so if you go out here, then it requires more power to move the same thing, okay? If you go way out here, like if this was 2 inches long, or 3 inches long, it'd be like a huge amount of load on the motor. If you go way on the inside, it's very precise, it's got plenty of power, okay? Does that make sense? Same thing's true out here. When you're on the inside, you get more output, okay? But if you're on the outside, you get less output. Okay, so we could have gone to the outside of this control horn, but I was already satisfied with the performance on the inside hole, okay? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so not sure how this video is gonna lay out because to be perfectly frank, I didn't plan on doing all that and I didn't plan on having 2 flights on this F-16, but I think we kind of have to, don't we?
Yeah, I think so.
So maybe what we'll do is we'll end up doing the F-16. Now let's just show you guys loading the battery too, because that's something we normally don't do this on second thoughts. That was a 50C pack, totally flat, totally no problems at all. And then I believe this one got spent pretty much, right? Did we go to dead?
Yeah, you were dead.
Okay, so just to show you it doesn't matter, we're gonna use a 30C. This is a Gen 1 pack. So we've got the balance lead. By the way, we haven't talked about chargers for a while. Everybody keeps asking S2200, just get the 2200. Don't waste your time. Don't get the 1200, get the 2200. There's not a big difference in price. Why would you spend like 50 bucks less? This is a huge investment. Just get the better one. You know, it's stupid to buy this one. if you can buy this one.
Yeah.
Now, they are coming out with a cheaper one that's gonna be released here pretty quick. I think it's on pre-order maybe right now. But anyway, it's smaller, it's lower wattage. That makes sense for people that are really trying to hold down the cost. But remember, speed is your friend when you're charging batteries. 2 channels, get as much as you can afford, because it's something you're only gonna buy once. I mean, we have a bunch of them because we work with these companies, but you guys are gonna have 1 or 2 maybe. Don't, you know, I mean, I got like 6 of them over here. We understand it's not normal. Just get the 2 channel and be done with it. Spend the extra 50 bucks. 50 bucks in this hobby is like throwaway, okay?
Yeah.
So just plan on getting it. It's worth the extra couple of bucks, because you're gonna have 150 or 200 bucks in a single channel. You're gonna have like 250 bucks in a dual channel. Why would you get the, you know, just get the, okay. Anyway, this is a little bit thicker pack, okay, than the 50C we were using.
Okay.
Which is highly unusual if you ask me, but it is just the way it is. Also, the leads come out. That's one thing you're gonna notice about batteries. Sometimes the balance lead comes out the opposite side, sometimes it comes out the same side. See, like these come out the opposite side. We just happen to have whatever we grabbed, okay? We couldn't put the voltage alarm in last time because it didn't work the way all the wires came out. So we're gonna put this 4S 2200 30C, which happens to be a little bit fatter than the 50C. I don't know why that is, because the 50C pack was a little bit longer in this case. This might help with CG too, okay? So I'm gonna push this all the way back like this, and then you guys get to see our ridiculous startup procedure this time. You've already seen it if you watch the Unbox Build radio setup, by the way. And if you're curious about the Unbox Build radio setup, just remember to view these things in the context of the fact that we have now changed things. Okay, that is something that is to be said about Brian Phillips RC. We do occasionally change the way that planes are set up. And so don't watch this and then watch the unbox and think, oh yeah, nothing's changed. Well, obviously a few things have changed in this very video. So what I'm thinking we'll do is we'll probably have our flight after our modifications, our first modifications, then we'll come in, we'll just show it live, you know?
Oh, okay.
So maybe we'll end up leading off with the F-18. Either way, it doesn't really matter to you guys. We're not trying to pull a fast one, we just want it to make sense to you. And sometimes what makes sense to me is not the same. Our timer is gonna need to get cleared, throttle cuts on, elevator's down, everything's ready to rock and roll. So we're gonna go ahead and plug this in. You might be able to get a balance, you might be able to get this in here if you had a long enough balance lead, but we don't, okay? At least as configured, okay? So now I'm gonna plug this in. This is of course IC3 still, going to an XT60. It goes in. It's a little bit hard to plug in, but it does go. Remember, watch this. This is when you know you're desperate. One dance means AS3X, okay? Now we need to look at the ailerons. The ailerons are fairly close to even, and the elevators are up, which is what we want, because this thing is gonna be still a little bit nose heavy, and when I say a little bit, a lot, because the CG's here and we're bouncing out about here, okay? But we did get a minor improvement here in regard to, do we have to tape this down? Because it feels like that's a little bit shorter now, which is great. That's kind of cool. So maybe the 30C pack is the way to go anyway. Yeah, look at that, that's way better. See, I've got enough to hold it on there, I think.
You think so?
Maybe, see? It's still on the edge. I don't know, camera crew's concern has got me.
I want to go chase a canopy, do you?
No,
Okay.
we'll just cut this. We'll just show you the process here. Okay, so this sticks on there, and then we don't have to worry about the paint, because what we're gonna do is take the knife, cut it like this. Aren't you glad we did this really super short video that wasn't detailed at all?
Mm-hmm. Super.
Funny.
You've been
Okay.
ready for a long time.
Yeah, you know what's going on. Okay, same thing. Now I want you to show them what I'm doing here. Making a tail, just a real small tail. Tail's gotta go on the back of the plane. Okay, so push a lid down, stick it down, and then when we're done flying, all you gotta do is just peel this tape and it'll go away. Okay? So there you have it. Now, let's check CG. Yeah, we're still, look where we're balancing. Still the same.
Yeah.
Basically.
Basically.
Okay, so I'm excited to see this fly. I know we didn't plan on doing 2 flights with this, but we're gonna do 2 flights with the F-16 because I feel like we've got this thing really working. Elevator up, elevator down, roll left, roll right, roll left, roll right with the rudder stick, okay? 4S definitely gives you enough oomph to get it off the ground and in the air. no problem. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna reset. We'll come right back as though we walked out there and launched this. So if you wanna pause, we'll come right back. Okay guys, we just did all of our modifications and we're ready to take off. Oh yes, that is so much better. Okay, so we're into it, 100% throttle and no oscillation yet. Yes. Oh man, it's flying great. So good. Look at this with the wind. Oscillation only at the very, very tip of the high speed. Okay, coming around. Out of the throttle. Oh yeah, that 30C pack is doing something good. Feel like we need one more. Oh yeah, she's nice and spongy on the elevator though now. Man, that looks so sweet, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. Shooting the moon, baby. So one thing I can definitely say is I feel like my expo could be reduced, which I'm gonna click into my higher rates of expo. Oh yeah, that gives me a lot more flexibility there. I wanna show you guys what it looks like for full roll rate now, because we changed all this stuff. That's about 60 to 70% stick, plenty for me. Now let's show you elevator. Okay, 100% power, full back stick, look at that. That's not very much elevator, but it's okay. I'm happy with it because it's not oscillating. I do feel like our ailerons, we could fix the oscillation. You see the oscillation at full speed? We only get it at the very, very, very top end of the speed range now. You could totally get that. I'm gonna go over the top here and then around. Hopefully on the inside if I can make it. Yes, so good. 50% throttle, look at that. Beautiful pass, guys. Love the way this plane is flying. Big improvement over the last flight. Good hand launch. 4S definitely gives you more oomph so that you can really enjoy going through the sun. Sorry guys. Man, that is fast. Okay, coming around down the runway. We're gonna roll it out, push the nose down. There we go, let it relax. Into the speed, folks. I don't know if you guys can tell, but the camera crew is a trooper. Not like a state trooper. She's just a trooper, meaning that she puts up with me, A, and B, she puts up with the wind. She puts up with the rain. She puts up with all the crazy situations that I get us into, and she keeps kicking, which is pretty cool. I really appreciate her. She's a wonderful mother, wife, and all those things. So as you can see, very good performance. A little bit unwieldy on the roll rate still, which tells me that if all we did was just move in one more hole, I almost feel like we'd have this thing nibbed in the bud. What do you think, camera crew? You want to do it? Let's land and do it.
You didn't say that many nice things about me.
Huh? You act like I was trying to earn something. Okay, a little bit of throttle. Woo, 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 woo. Here we go, here we go. Oh, come on, Brian, you're better than that. Okay, I'm gonna do this again. Camera crew, go 4 steps to your mailbox. Perfect. The wind is getting a little bit intense. We actually had, oh, here's our timer. Now you could go longer, folks. This battery's not dead yet, by the way. 30C was fine, 50C was unnecessary. Just so you know, if we didn't already make that blatantly obvious. Good belly landing, no problems there. Throttle cuts on. What we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust our ailerons, but we'll probably go ahead and switch packs because we can. You can stay out of the mud if you want. So our next move is I wanna fix the oscillation over correction. We're gonna go in one more hole and do this, and you'll be right there beside us, so we'll pause and come back. Because I can, I'm gonna wipe off the belly of this thing because there's just a little bit of schmutz on it. Okay, so 1/16 of an inch is what we used the first time. So we'll literally just do the exact same process on the ailerons. Okay, remember, what are we trying to do, camera crew? Eliminate oscillation.
I thought we were trying to warm up.
Well, that too. See, I just hit the edge of that foam. It's because there's no way not to.
Yeah.
And it's better than putting a big hole to get the screw out. So I feel like that's a good trade-off. Okay, so that's gonna further reduce. Oh, by the way, I wanna look at my expo for a second too.
Do you want me to come around?
Yep. Okay. So when we were flying dual rates in Expo, I went from 20 to 10. Okay, 20 to 10. So it wasn't a big change. I think when we first started, we were here. Then we did some mechanical adjustments. But I'm gonna just leave it here. This is fine. It didn't feel like it was a big improvement going from 20 to 10. So we're just gonna leave it where it is. Okay. So now let's look at this. Remember, AS3X is not controlled by dual rates and Expo. On this model, on the AR636 that we're using in here, or the new AR630. But you can do gain adjustment on the 630 or the 631 or the 637T, which is new, okay? So now what we need to do is the same as before. I need to grab my little screwdriver. We're gonna slide this thing back. Part of the reason we go through this process is because everybody that's new needs a little bit more help than people that have been doing it for a long time. And that's on the inside hole. I could just go to the outside hole too. Ooh, that's tempting. We go to the outside hole, that means it's gonna move it less. That's what we're doing. We're going to the outside hole. That'll give us one more adjustment potentially, okay? Sorry, I drilled the holes, but I probably didn't have to, okay? Did you notice any porpoising at all on that flight? I didn't.
No.
Okay, so we're basically just gonna pull this out, slip it to the next hole, snap it back together, slide this thing back out. We did drill the hole, but that was unnecessary because we're doing kind of the same thing either direction, okay? I'm just looking at these ailerons. While holding still, does it look like yours is down a little bit? It does. We need to correct that too.
Okay.
Yours is down a little bit. That could cause a roll. Okay, so I'm just gonna pop this out, pull it off, then I'm gonna go out one turn. We'll see if that's nice and level. Oh yeah, that's flush now. Flush and flush, okay? Then we're gonna slip this little O-ring thing back out. Same thing here, I wanna go out half a turn on this one is all it needs. Okay, so how do you know it's a half a turn, Brian? I know it's half a turn because I've done it a million times and it's just practice makes perseverance, not perfection. Perfection is unachievable. Don't aim for, if you aim for perfection, you'll probably be better the next time, you know? Doesn't mean you're gonna hit it every time. Okay, so snapped. And I felt like the elevators were good, did you? I didn't feel like it was porpoising at all on the vertical axis.
No.
On the pitch axis.
It was just that wobble.
Okay, so now just looking at this, I feel like the ailerons look pretty darn even.
Yeah, more than they did.
To be honest, they probably could come up one more, but I think we're good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just, actually, you know what we're gonna do? We're not even gonna change batteries. We're just gonna go right back out and keep flying. Okay guys, third adjustment, trying to get the AS3X under control without actually changing it with programming. Throttle cuts off. 4S, we have already extinguished 3 minutes and 30 seconds of flight time, but we got about 5.5 on the last one, so we're gonna go for another minute or so. Good. Okay, 50% throttle here. That EDF fan is no problem with this 4S configuration. Full throttle, look at that. Beautiful in the sky, folks. Yes. Corrections, you're seeing our AS3X doing its job and changing wind condition. That is not an oscillation. That is just the way it works when it's very windy. Look how sweet that looks though, folks. Man, talk about dialed in, folks. Going up and around down the runway, out of the throttle, relaxing the battery. Man, that looks sweet. Oh yeah, for sure. Loving this, guys. This is on a crappy crashed AR636. Well, I shouldn't say crappy, still got AS3X, but look how sweet that looks. Okay, we are out of battery. That's our low voltage alarm. Not much of a warning, but it is a warning no less. It didn't go to 0. We're gonna land it, we're gonna land it. We're gonna let that battery recover. Hopefully I can, one more pulse. Thank you. Okay, we made it. Throttle cuts on.
That was better.
I hope I didn't break the nose off. I think I might have.
Really?
Yep. If I did, it's in the grass. Nope, didn't break it. Awesome! Okay, guys, that was really good. Listen. That's the ESC warning us that you use the battery too much, and we were at about 1.5 minutes, almost exactly what I expected. Guys, we got this thing dialed in. Save yourself all the trouble of all that crap we just did and put an AR630 in there, and you will be very satisfied. That being said, 4S is the way to go. Watch this. Watch this. Boom. Watch this. Boom. works perfect every time it's tried. 4S, 5 minutes of flight time, gorgeous flight, even with a crappy old crash receiver, and we love this plane. Very cool, like it better. But probably, no doubtedly, undoubtedly, you already saw the F-18 and you saw it in a very, very, very easy, simple, worked almost perfectly immediately sort of scenario. And that's part of the reason why I like the F-18 is because it's so simple. But that being said, this plane is worth a little bit of effort and it is very good. Okay, so stay tuned. So much more to come from Brian Phillips RC. If you want to help support the channel, buy these planes from the links below. If you don't like this plane, buy a different plane from the links below. If you want to help support us, but you don't want to buy a plane, Patreon, PayPal. What was that noise?
It was the trees rubbing together.
Oh, I thought it was like a cow or
Sounds like
something.
an animal.
So anyway, guys, you never know what you're going to see here on Brian Phillips RC. We're freezing our tails off. We have one more flight, but you already saw it at the beginning. Come back for more. Leave us your comments in the video. Leave us the comments in the comments below, but don't forget to like the video. Please, these long videos kill us on YouTube, but we do it because you're the boss. Come back. All right, YouTube, so we're here. Obviously, you've seen these planes fly. These are the 50mm EDF jets from Eachine, which are actually pretty good, but they're rated for 3S, and that's not good enough for me. I really like the F-18 a lot better, which is why we recommend it. There's a lot more cheaters on the F-16, as you can see, small cheater, because there's only one inlet here. There's two bigger inlets here. I feel like the 11 or 12 blade fan, which looks totally sweet on these things. They sound great. They fly good on 3S. Obviously no rudder, same kind of issues that we have with the Arrows choice is just no rudder, but we've never done it on 4S and we're gonna do it today. Now, I just want to warn you, I used an AR-636 from a crashed plane in this plane. So I don't even have auto leveling, which is not a big deal because this thing is going to be super stable, probably so stable that I'm not going to have enough elevator to fly it. It's totally possible that I'm going to have to trim this, and look where my trim is. In fact, we probably have to center the trim. You see that, guys? Because of the trim, I have to fix it. So here's what we're doing today. The reason that you're seeing this video after the flight is just you can see what we did to accommodate the 4S. Because watch this. This has a void here, okay? Now I'm not saying your receiver would have been here. Maybe your receiver was up here and then you can really pack that into the back. You'd be able to get your CG just fine. But my experience is there's not enough lead to do that. So you're gonna have to use extension cables. Not a big deal, it's only 3 wires. So I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lay this so that it's right in the middle. I'm gonna bring this down, and believe it or not, it does go in, okay? But that has a little bit of pressure on it. So this is what I do in situations like this. I'm gonna take I forgot my scissors. I'm gonna take scissors, and I hate those little jaggedy edges. You see the jaggedy edges at the top from the way it rips off of the tape dispenser? I always cut those off. That makes it easier to take off if you decide to take it off. It makes it cleaner. Now watch this. I'm gonna push this flat, and I'm literally going to tape it down just like they used to do on UMX models. They would tape the 2 halves together, okay? Now I'm gonna take another piece of tape, kind of the same thing. You can either rip it like that or you can just cut it with the scissors, but I just want a clean edge, very clean edge. So it's sharp, okay? Now why do we care about the sharp edge? I also have my nitro gloves on still. These things help when it's cold. It's about 30 degrees out today, so. I'm gonna tape that down and I'm gonna leave it. And then when we get in, I'm gonna take the X-Acto knife. Well, I'm gonna do it right now just so you guys can see how to do it. I'm gonna take and I'm gonna cut. Man, this knife needs to be replaced. It's not very sharp. Dull X-Acto knives are dangerous, okay? The blades are cheap. Just replace them when they get dull. We'll replace this after we get off camera. So I'm just cutting just along the seam. And you're like, but Brian, why the heck did you put that tape there if you're just gonna cut it? I'm getting there. Grab your tape, do the exact same process, okay? So the whole rationale now is you got a spot you can put this down, okay? And then if you wanna fly on 4S, you don't have to feel like you're compromising the finish of your aircraft, okay? Now, if you really wanna make it nice and really easy to use, what you'll do is you'll take a piece of tape like this, you'll cut it, you'll double back and make a small tail, just like that. Because remember, this is gonna hold the plane together. And then when you're done, you might wanna go back to 3S on the next flight. And then all you have to do is grab this peel it off and you're done. It just so happens that it took it off the finish, which I didn't expect that to happen, folks. But anyway, as per usual, sometimes things don't go the way we want them to. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some tape down. It didn't pull the finish off though, which was the whole idea. Okay, so just remember, you gotta cut it on your first layer. Okay, so that way when you go to take your canopy off, it's taped down on the back. Now, why do we have to tape it down? Because this magnet is pushing against those heavy duty smart leads, and I don't want to fight it. So I'm going to fold this tail over, just give myself something to get. I'm going to push this lid down tight and I'm going to tape it. Okay, just one idea for you. Now, secondly, there is AS3X on this. I would have liked to share with you using the AR630 in this plane because it would have been perfect for this airplane. But we have the AR636 from a crash plane, so we used it. So what I need to do now is I need to actually take my trim. I'm gonna show you how to do a mechanical trim adjustment right now. And I don't know if this is coming probably at the end of the F-18 and F-16 flights. But let's go ahead and show them over here, camera crew. So you can see with AS3X active, you have to just keep in mind, bear in mind that movement will translate to output. So you just have to be a little bit careful. It's not safe, it's just AS3X. Okay, so what I generally do is I look and I study the aircraft and I look where it is. And then I study where it is. It looks like this is coming up just over the top of that little inboard portion there, this inboard portion here. So you can see how that's stuck flush with right there. So the bottom of this, normally on a F-16, it'd be a full functioning televator. The tail would be the elevator. In this, it's just an elevator, okay? So you have a horizontal stabilizer and an elevator on the end of it, okay? So what I need to do is I need to center my trims. I'm at minus 86, good Lord. So now I'm gonna put it to 0. And now I need to take and pop those things off and make them like they were. That means I've got some trim because on a nose heavy plane, you may have to trim a little bit just to keep the thing flying straight. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do next. So what we have to do is slide these back, these little rubber things, and then use your fingernail or a screwdriver to pop these out. I'm gonna have to get a screwdriver probably. A flat screwdriver, obviously. And this is a pretty easy step, but it's a necessary step. Okay. So I'm just gonna get in here and just kind of turn that sideways, and then that pulls that out. Okay, see how that pulls that out? So now, what I have to do, sorry, my mic keeps flipping on me. I hope that doesn't cause a bad quality issue here. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I wanna make this surface so it's like that. So that this lines up like that instead of neutrally like this. I want it to be like that with 0 trim, okay? So I'm trying to do this in a way that you guys can see, and the way you can adjust it is you kind of hold this where you want it, and then you're like, okay, how many turns out? I don't know, a couple. So I take 3 fingers, push hard to brace it, then I start spinning. Ooh, man, that one's hard to spin. You can always tell on the cheaper aircraft it's always a lot harder to do that. Okay, and we want to go to the inside hole, otherwise there's just like way too much control authority. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so about 4 or 5 turns, which is consistent with what I expected. And then I'm gonna take and poke this through just temporarily, so I don't want to snap it yet. And then we're gonna look. I probably overdid it slightly. See, I've just got a gap here. I'm actually okay with that. Here's why. I know that with the nose heavy performance, I want to be just a little bit high because it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, my center of gravity is marked here. My center of gravity is like there.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of crazy. So it should be very stable, but that means you're going to lose elevator authority. Okay. So the trade-off is because this isn't, retracts and you want to come in and flare and slow down, this is just a belly lander. So we can land it as fast as we want. It'd be better not to, but you see this? You got a little skid plate and you've got this plastic here too. That helps protect the belly of the plane. So we almost never do second thoughts on Eachine products just because, to be honest with you, they're usually kind of like a lower investment plane, and we don't do it. I don't know why we don't, but in this case, we kind of think these are sweet planes. This one in particular is really good, okay? I'm hoping this one does better than on our maiden because I wasn't super impressed with this. I felt like it was too weak. Okay, so now we're gonna come out here. so that it mimics almost exactly the gap. Right here is what we're trying to mimic. We're aiming for, and I'll point with the screwdriver so you can see. I'm looking to replicate this exact gap from right here to right there. That's the easiest measurement point, okay? So I'm gonna turn my screwdriver, just do a little something so you can gauge it. See? I want basically the thickness of my screwdriver in that gap. And you can see we're not there yet, okay? So I wanna hold that down a little bit. And just whatever you can use. It's not some magical solution. That's about where I want it, okay? So now all I have to do is just kind of replicate that quick. Hold this. You can see I gotta go way out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, this is way easier to turn this one. Consistency, right?
Mm-hmm, of course.
Get from the Chinese. Super, super hyper consistent. Okay. If you guys didn't know this, Eachine is a Chinese company. I know it's weird, hard to believe. Looks like I've got more up on this. Show the people. Do you agree? More up. Mm-hmm. This one's up more than this one. That's gonna create an asymmetry. It's gonna roll the aircraft. So I need to back that one off. That's probably a little bit aggressive. It might just climb out and cause a stall. Okay, I'm gonna hold this with 3 fingers, 2 fingers and a thumb. Okay, see, like that. 1.5. Then we retest. This is a little bit guess and check stuff, guys. So don't be surprised if you have to do it 2 or 3 times to get it right. I'm gauging, there's a lot of like inconsistent shapes on this aircraft, so it's really kind of challenging to line everything up because there's not like straight lines to go with, so you have to gauge things to see if you have symmetry. I feel like I need to go out. I overshot that time. I brought it back too much. And how do you tell, Brian? I don't know. I just look at it a bunch until I see a good reference point. That means I only came back half a turn because I did 3 half turns. Okay, so let's see. So we're on the inside hole. We're on the inside hole. I think we can snap. Pull this one back. Okay, so now I'm gonna look. Good, good. They look even to me. Okay. See this? See how that head of the screwdriver is the same gap here and here, okay? Mm-hmm. So we're really close. I mean, close as I'm gonna get it without doing some better measurements. But look, it's cut up elevator. Now that's because this is the CG and we're gonna be way out here on the front. Okay, see this? Look where I balance. Like out here way in the front. So that means that this is gonna be a super stable flying platform because it's nose heavy. But when you have a nose heavy plane, that means that the elevator is gonna be weaker. It's gonna have to work harder to pivot the aircraft because you're pivoting on the wrong axis, okay? Might also make it fly wonky, but we'll see. You can get away with a little bit nose heavy, especially on a jet. If you go way too tail heavy, you can high alpha a little bit better, but then it becomes super understable. Elevator's way too effective. And you'll find that out as you get a little bit more skilled as pilot. If you're a new pilot, this would probably not be the best choice. The F-18 is way more forgiving. So hopefully that helped you to answer some of your questions, and hopefully side-by-side comparison on 4S helps you to decide whether or not you want to challenge your ESC with the 4S. Now this is all stock, with the exception of course the receiver, because this is a plug and fly plane, okay? So you will have seen the Eachine F-18 in the 50 millimeter size class, 50 millimeter EDF, and the Eachine F-16, which we reviewed quite a bit before. And just look at the size difference, guys. This plane and this plane are really close in size, but there's a lot more wing area compared to weight on this F-18, okay? So just keep that in mind. This has got a bigger body. This has a very narrow body. This has the wing surface here. This has a huger wing skirt here, okay? So just look how big that wing is, that wing on the fuse. So this just has a different setup, okay? So it does really good. So let's go ahead and see what they look like. Hopefully, we haven't seen it yet, but you guys enjoyed it. If you wanna help support the channel, we'll link to both the F-16 and the F-18 in the video description below. We'll link to the videos, the batteries we chose. I believe we have a 50C 4S pack in here, a 2200 milliamp hour. Again, we were flying on 1300 milliamp 3S for our maidens on both of these planes, and they did okay. They weren't terrible, but they were just anemic. And I don't like anemic jets. They're not fun to fly. I want near unlimited vertical. I want high-speed passes. I want the excitement of all that. If you want to help support us, buy them from the links. If you hate these planes, there's a million other choices. Just look around for a second. There's planes, there's a great one right there on the table, similar size class, similar price point, actually a lot better price point. That plane kicks butt, very good. Probably beats these both, except I really like the F-18. I love the way it looks. I love the way it flies. I love the F-16. I love the way it looks. I love the way it flies. But I don't necessarily like it as much as that because I feel like that's a better value. So keep those things in mind. Obviously, we do these videos in cooperation with these partners like Banggood that we work with. But at the end of the day, we really work for you because you're the ones that want to know what to buy. And so we're just going to bring them to you in a way that's, sure, we do work with these companies, but they're not telling us what to say. I could say this thing sucks worse than any other plane I've ever flown in my life, and they would keep sending its planes to review for you. Because at the end of the day, they know that if we don't have an audience that watches, we're of no value to them anyway. So really at the end of the day, we answered you guys. Just want to make sure we reiterate that. And you guys, I think you get it. But at the end of the day, we love doing this. There's so many good choices out there. You don't have to just buy whatever we flew that day. We understand the way it is. And we are in an extremely grateful position here to have so many opportunities to serve you in the RC community. So also soon, PPG stuff, which I'm very excited about and hope you are too. So stay tuned. We have so much more to come. Spring is almost here. Thank God. It feels like it's been a million year winter.